Welcome back to Music Theory Logic. Today, by request, we are going to be breaking down I Don't Want to Do This Anymore by XXXTENTACION, the late and great. Thank you to my subscriber Juan for requesting this song. Hopefully you enjoy this video. Let's go ahead into the session. If you have songs that you would like me to recreate and then talk about sort of some production elements in it, maybe where the notes come from, where the sample comes from, let me know in the comments. On my last Dr. Dre breakdown, which was also a request, Juan asked for this one. So a little bit of a backstory. So before I play my version, everything you're hearing I've recreated. The only sampling that I'm doing are one-hit drum samples. After I finished this whole recreation, I did some research, really just trying to figure out who produced the track, and I actually came across the sample. So this song is a loop from a track by the producer Nova, which is called Whitley Part 1. I'll perhaps put it in the description below, but I'm really curious about that producer Nova. He's still making music, got a lot of really cool stuff, so I'm going to check out more of his work. So without further ado, I'm going to play my version of the song. I'm going to play two different sections. It's a lot shorter than the full original, and the reason for that is that I don't have any words on it. I do have vocals. The vocals are not incredible since they are my own vocals, but I manipulated them to the max degree. And so I have like the main instrumental that happens throughout the song, and then I have the ending trippy part. So here we go. Cool. So let's talk about some music theory. This song is in the key of C sharp minor. C sharp minor has the same notes as E major. E major has and C sharp minor have four black keys, four sharps. Those are going to be in C sharp minor, order from low to high: C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. Let's hear that scale. It sounds like this. And if you happen to have my music theory text linked below, it's a super simple. If I have any critiques on it, it's too simple. But like most of the music that people enjoy listening to is fundamentally pretty simple. And with a computer, you can really make it even that much simpler. If I were to grab these notes and move the first note to A, I'd have all the white keys. That's A minor. So if you don't want to remember the notes in C sharp minor, you could remember all the white keys from A to A, drag it up to whatever key you want to be the minor key. And now that's our C sharp minor. The chords that we hear in the song, there's really two harmonies. The first one is the one chord, so C sharp minor has the first, the third, and the fifth note from the scale. That is C sharp, E, and G sharp. Then we have basically a minor 5 chord, so a G sharp minor. However, the bass in the song is playing a B, so that is a note from the chord. Again, G sharp minor has G sharp, B, and D sharp. So it's a note from the chord. It's not changing the chord, but a note other than the main note, which is the letter in G sharp minor. So the G sharp is not on the bottom. The B is on the bottom. The fancy way we call a chord like that is we would say that that chord is inverted or slightly upside down, kind of like somebody doing a flip. All right, cool. So I'm going to go through all the individual layers in the song. Let's talk about the chords to start. Pretty simple. We're just going between that one chord and the 5 chord. I'm doing some filtering. I noticed that like after the first 4 bars of the song, the top end kind of opens up. This whole track feels very, very slow. It's got kind of a human feel to it. It was hard for me to recreate because the main sound in it is that vocal. And so I do have a virtual instrument doing that, but again, I recorded my own voice and used Melodyne to manipulate it. So right here, that chord, that's not the lowest note that we're hearing. at that moment we're hearing the bass, so that's where that B I mentioned before is. So those chords on their own sound like this. Sound-wise, I'm using Isotope Iris 2 in 3 instances. So I have the cave piano, I have a pad. Let me remember what pad it is. The inference pad, just a preset, and then I have hidden choir. So all of those are happening, and then again I have the filter opening up after, so you hear more at the top end on our cave piano when the next downbeat happens. So let's look at the bass. Also pretty simple. I have 2 channels there playing the same notes. In the beginning, we get just like an 8th note feel. I should mention this song, I have it at 57 beats per minute. And then I have it slowing down in the end, which I will talk about more towards the end. So at 57 beats per minute, we get 8th notes. So the first note's the C sharp. You see 2 of them because the lower one is my sub and the top one is the bass that you're more hearing. Then after the first 4 bars, so we don't have anything in the 4th measure, the whole song, that's pretty open. Then for the rest of the song, we get this like held out sub sound. It's really low in the mix. The whole track is really soft, but those are the notes happening with our chords. It sounds like this. Cool. Let's add our drums in. So the kick drum is pretty straightforward. We basically get 3.5 measures the first time of 4 on the floor kick drums. What that means, 4 on the floor is a term for this kind of beat where you have a kick drum, which if we were playing the drums, the kick pedal is on the ground. I think that's where the floor comes from, like you're tapping your foot. So we get 4 of those per measure. This is similar to like house music, only house music would be anywhere between like 110 and 130 beats per minute roughly. So this is a lot slower. With our bass, it sounds like this. Now if we add the snare in, it's a standard backbeat. That's beat 2 and 4, again at 57 beats per minute. And then we don't get the kick the whole time, so that's interesting. The kick just cuts out for the 4th measure throughout the song, and it cuts out for the second half of the 3rd measure throughout a lot of sections of the song. So the main cymbal pattern that's happening, I have a closed hi-hat and an open hi-hat. It's the same pattern happening every 4 measures. It's basically 16th notes at 57 beats per minute, but they are swung out. So what that means is that every other cymbal is right in time. The cymbals that are in between are behind. So if I get to my pointer tool, if we look at these 2 with relationship to the grid, they're behind or late. In music, we call that swing. Swing is a really common thing in any style of music that is played by human beings. And if you want to add a little bit more of a groove to your songs, adding a little bit of swing in definitely goes a long way. Then there is this additional hi-hat that is happening. It's playing this pattern, the 3rd 16th notes in a row after the beginning. So that secondary cymbal is again on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th 16th notes, and those are all back in time. So this, if you go and listen to the Nova track, it has a really like human feel to it. I'd be really curious talking to him how he produced it, but I imagine he's using a lot of out of like just charting it into the computer type producing, whether he's using like an MPC to put in the drums or it's an actual organic sample, or he's playing some other MIDI pad and keeping that human feel in it, but really cool. So the main thing that you, Juan, probably are curious about is the vocal. So the vocal layer that I have added in, if I show you the notes, so first of all, we're starting at C sharp, then we go to E, then we go up to the 7th note, B, and we go on the last 16th note, there's kind of a walk down to A, then G sharp to 5. So all of these notes except for A, this is basically like a C sharp minor 7 arpeggio. Every other measure we get, or the second measure, we get this fill. It feels like a second vocal, so I feel like XXX is doing the vocal that is like here, 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 and here. And I think that it's doubled up in some places with that original track he's going on top of. These notes are G sharp, A, G sharp, down to F sharp. So 5 to 4, essentially. 5 to 4, same thing second time. Then the fourth measure, we get that B, 7th scale degree, stepping down to the A, the same sort of movement, and then down to a G sharp, so 7, 5. If I play that while we watch it, it sounds like this. Cool. And once again, perhaps the vocal's not nearly as annoying to you as it is to me. I feel like it was almost like I didn't want to put out the video because of the sound of that, but like without my own vocals in it, it really just didn't have the same like depth. So if you don't think the vocals sound terrible, let me know. But basically, I tried to do it along to it. Then I used Melodyne to perfect all my pitch. Then I sent that through Auto-Tune. I then bounced it in place, and the main vocal you're hearing is going through Sound Toys, and the formats are being pushed down. So it's like even lower, sounds like a different person. So there's some really subtle things that are happening in the other part of the instrumental. So there's this channel that's sounds like an electric piano with a lot of delay. So I have this going through H delay. It's happening, it's that 7th scale degree, and it's happening on the 2nd 16th note on beat 2 throughout the song. Really, really subtle. That's the sound if I play it with everything else. Really adds a lot. Then there is what sounds to be like an electric piano to me in the background on the second beat. Every other measure that's doing the notes, G sharp, A, B, or 5, 6, 7 in the key of C sharp minor. So that added in sounds like this. Subtly. If you go back and listen to that track, you'll really notice, like, first of all, it feels like really, really ambient. Listen to it with headphones. It's very spatial. Lots of reverbs going on here too. I'm using RX 48 from Native Instruments on like the giant hall setting, and then I'm also using the Kevin Kline Atmosphere from Universal Audio's Lexicon UAD plugin. If you listen to like Pensado's Place with some producers, or like And the Writer Is with music producers, or you'll hear that come up a decent amount. It's almost like such a spacey reverb. It functions kind of like a delay. I'm using that throughout the song to try to mimic that space. Last thing I have a record vinyl scratch happening right before the bass goes longer, or at the fourth measure. You kind of hear that as a fill. Now, it's not the perfect sound, but I thought it worked well enough for this video. Cool, so that basically covers everything besides the main vocal in the song. Some subtle side notes. I'm using a lot of chorus on that vocal. If you listen again in headphones, you'll notice this kind of like weird spreading effect of both the vocal and like the backing vocals. And that to my ear really sounded like a chorus. A chorus is basically like splitting two channels and adding a delay to one of the channels that creates like a space feel in our brains. Cool. So if you go to the very end of that song, it's a really trippy ending. I have it sounding like this. So I believe it's basically the same exact instrumental. It's just slowed down, and there isn't the main vocal on top, which again I think is XXX like on top of the beat, which has the same melody in it. If I had to guess, so without that vocal, everything is this audio right here is all of this stuff printed together. Those channels. And then the song is slowing down. So I believe it goes to 45 beats per minute. Again, from our original tempo of 57. So slowing down. Everything else is the same. This is a really common like technique at the end of instrumentals. I was talking to an absolutely phenomenal hip hop producer, goes by Kaba. He's one Kaba on Instagram. And we were doing a session a while back, and we were kind of talking about that, how like certain beats have that really like trippy ending where it feels like it's just a different song, or it kind of leaves you with some ear candy, something to think about. Who Dat Boy, I think is the name of the song, with Tyler the Creator and A$AP Rocky. That song does that at the end, and that's what I always think of. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions for me, or again, if you have any songs that you'd like to see me recreate, let me know in the comments or shoot me an email. Once again, my name is Andrew. The thing you can do to really help me out in the channel is subscribe to the channel. It helps me climb up on other people's rankings, show up in other, get more viewers and stuff. And I'm chasing after 1,000 subscribers so that my channel can start to get monetized and I can start to make a couple bucks a month, which is probably all it will be in the beginning, but that'll at least help me subsidize my guitar strings or stuff like that. So I aim to serve all of you out there. I hope this helps you better understand the song that you like. Hopefully this helps you better understand your own music if you are producing tracks. If you're making music, feel free to link to some of your music in the comments. I'd love to check it out. Thank you for hanging out. I will see you next time. Cheers.